Hey there, fair gamers. Welcome back to another wonderful Thursday night live stream of Fair Game Favorites. My name is Graham, and tonight on Fair Game Favorites, we are talking about a complex subject. The subject is instilling cooperation and teamwork in your preschooler. Teamwork is an ever-present concept in our lives, right? We're constantly working together with others to accomplish things. I mean, just whatever your day job is, whatever you do for work, that is a cooperative concept. And being able to instill those life skills at a very young age, I think has a lot of value. So tonight I wanted to open up this topic, this discussion topic, and if you're watching the live stream, I would love to have you chime in. So it's not just the Graham Show, because the beauty of a live stream is that I get to interact with you. So I am all ears, and I would love to read your comments about how to best teach teamwork to someone who is rather young. So tonight I'm largely focusing on kids ages 2 to 6. There's definitely some more cooperative things that we can do with older children, but tonight let's focus on the little ones. I really appreciate everyone tuning in for this episode of Fair Game Favorites. If you're just joining the stream, hi, hello, and welcome. Before we get too deep into the topic, I want to make sure folks have a chance to kind of show up so that we can talk about cooperation. I want to tell you about a game that we have back in stock at Fair Game, and this is called Mermaid Island. And I picked Mermaid Island tonight very specifically because it is from one of my favorite young child game companies, and that company is called Peaceable Kingdom. If you haven't heard of them, memorize that name because Peaceable Kingdom is fantastic. Mermaid Island is a cooperative game, just like all other Peaceable Kingdom games. And when I say cooperative, it means that everyone is on the same team. We are all working together towards a same goal, and we are either going to beat the challenge that the game presents to us, or we are all going to lose together, shake it off, and then try the game again to try to get back, or try to snatch victory from our previous defeats. So cooperative games are wonderful. It really takes the competitive element out of the game. You don't feel like you have to outsmart anyone else. It's all about just rejoicing in that group activity. And I think that rejoicing is very important. We're going to get into that in just a minute. So Mermaid Islands from Peaceable Kingdom. In this game, you're going to race the sea witch around this board here to the center of the board, which is Mermaid Island. And we have to work together to race the sea witch. We have 3 mermaids as a team, and we're going to take turns spinning this dial. It's either going to have one of our mermaids move forward 1 space, 2 spaces, or move the sea witch forward 1 space. If the sea witch lands on a mermaid, that mermaid has to go back to the start. So the question is, you spin the dial, you get to move 2 spaces. Which mermaid are we going to move 2 spaces, guys? You can see that there's sort of a chutes and ladders element here. So if I zoom in on the board a little bit, if this mermaid were to move 1 space, it would then get to skip ahead of the sea witch, which may or may not be a good thing, depending on if we have the sea witch move forward a space as well. So it's a pretty simple concept. They recommend ages 5 and up on the box. You could do a smart 3-year-old or a 4-year-old. If they're willing to sit down and do this kind of activity, because again, it's cooperative, so you get to help guide them along. We're going to see that as a common theme tonight with some of the games I want to talk about. There's a little bit more strategy to this. If you land on these wand spaces, you get to collect a wand token, and you can spend that token as a group anytime to send the witch back 1 space. So, oh no, is this the time that we have to move the witch back? Because, for example, if this mermaid moves on this space, they get to move down the slide. Now the witch is right behind them. Let's spend that wand token, move the witch back, and now we don't have to worry about this mermaid getting scooped up by the witch and sent back to the start. Overall, these games are wonderful. Again, if you see anything that's got Peaceable Kingdom on it, you can rest easy knowing that that is a good purchase for you and your young one. All right, well, if you're tuning into tonight's stream, it means that you want to discuss some stuff with me about instilling teamwork in your preschooler. So I've put together a couple of thoughts on a process on how one might do that. Preschoolers at such a young age, they don't really have, they haven't learned empathy yet. They haven't learned that skill. It's a lot of cause and effect. And it's hard to make something feel like it's a group decision. It's hard to make a youngster feel like they're involved in something, because so much of their life is just learning, taking in information, and then being agreeable and doing what they're told, right? There's a lot of commands that happen with young kids. And so the nice thing about cooperative games is that they provide an opportunity to create some boundaries within that space that a youngster can contribute, can help with group decision making, that kind of thing. Breaking down this cooperative concept, how do we make our youngster feel like they're part of a team? So my first thought is to set a specific goal and why it's important. So that could come down to a chore as to why we have to take out the garbage or why we have to clean our room. That might be a little bit of an uphill battle, but in a cooperative game, that's a really nice opportunity to set that mutual goal, right? When I described Mermaid Island, I said the goal of the game is to get all 3 of our mermaids to the center island before the sea witch gets there. Okay? Okay. We've bought into the goal, and kids can get on board with that. It's a little bit easier than saying, well, our goal is to brush our teeth every night. Okay, well, I don't know if the kid's going to feel the same way about that. But if you can create a goal for your kid, then we can work together towards that goal as a team, right? It's important when you're setting goals for those kids to make them kind of small, bite-sized goals. Make sure that they are attainable. It's also much easier if you can pick a goal that conceivably the kid can get on board with, right? So is our goal, I don't want to say like eat a plate of cookies, because that's obviously the kid's going to get on board with that. But if you're watching this in chat right now, I would love to see your ideas of like a good attainable goal for a family that you can present to your child and say, hey, our goal for tonight is to do this. And it's small, it's easy, it's attainable, and it's not just you telling them they have to do something. This is now a group goal that they can buy into. While you think about what those goals could be, I want to bring up my second point, which is to offer a choice. Because if you don't offer a choice, again, that gets back to our command. My command is brush your teeth before you go to bed. Okay, well, them's the ropes, right? Your kid's not going to view that as like a group goal, right? But if you can say, okay, our goal is to walk both of the dogs. Do we want to walk the dogs together? Or are we going to take one dog for a walk around the block and then the other dog around the block? So the goal is to walk both the dogs tonight, right? And the kid's going to help. If you were offering them this choice, all of a sudden they have some say in the matter. Kyle's putting up a good idea for a goal in the chat instead of walking the dogs, right? The goal tonight is for everyone to have a bath because we want to do game night after. Or maybe in that case, we want to do a game night, but everyone's got to take their baths first, right? So game night, yes, sign me up. The kid says, I can buy into this. And now here's our decision point. Who's going to take a bath first? Thank you so much for that, Kyle. That's very helpful. Who's going to take a bath first? Well, it's a decision point. Is it going to be child A or is it going to be child B? Hopefully you have better names for your kids than just letters. I'm not a dad. I did not name my kids A and B. Yes, so they have a choice. You want to present that choice to them as very binary, very straightforward, and those are the only options. So you pick options that you don't care which option the kid chooses, right? Because, hey, Tommy took a bath, Lila took a bath, we're good. So the choice was, is Tommy going to take the bath first or is Lila going to take the bath first? That's it. Is the choice going to be we're going to walk the dogs together or we're going to walk the dogs separate? You don't care as long as the dogs get walked, right? if you offer that decision point to the kid, this is the whole consummate point here. If you offer that decision point to the child, now that child has an opportunity to take ownership of the situation. They have an opportunity to buy in a little bit, and now all of a sudden they're thinking like, oh, this is what we're going to do as a family. This is what we're going to do as a team here, right? I've been thinking of this process from the perspective of like an older preschooler, a young 5, maybe a kindergartner. I want to back it up a little bit because I've got a game here that's ideal for 2 to 3-year-olds. And this is a great tool in our Instilling Teamwork toolbox. This is a game called Nibble, Munch, Crunch. It's by a company called Haba. If you've ever shopped at Fair Game, I know you've seen these yellow boxes. And Nibble, Munch, Crunch is a cooperative game that is essentially teaching colors, shapes, names of animals, and names of food, all in one, right? So it's a nice, straightforward, educational game. If you can get your toddler to sit down and play this with you, you're doing good. The object of the game is to match animals to their favorite food. And you can do that just by opening up the box and just quizzing the child, going through who likes the carrot. What color is what's an example here? What color is the cheese? Well, the cheese is yellow, so you take the yellow tile, you put it next to the cheese, and then you line the cheese up with the mouse. Bada bing, bada boom, bada bum. The game offers instructions on how to run a couple different activities, and the highest level is essentially a matching game where we're each going to divvy up the various food options that we have. So someone gets the carrot, someone gets the dog bone, someone gets the cheese, and then we shuffle up the color tiles and the animal tiles into a big stack face down. We're going to take turns flipping over those tiles and work together to try to match up who or which tile belongs with which food, which color, etc., etc. So again, good basic vocabulary, good matching shapes. I like this game because it's got these big physical components, and I feel that large physical components are much more intuitive because they're a physical object, not an illustration representing an object. So always a big fan of games when they've got this kind of element to it. Again, this is Nibble, Munch, Crunch, and it's a real winner for toddler games, and it's cooperative, meaning that we present this goal, match up all the colors and animals with their foods, and then the decision point for the child. Are we going to put the cheese with the dog? Maybe. If you're my dog, they love cheese. But for this example, no. Fish, cat, bone, dog, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Let's get back into our discussion a little bit. We've talked about setting a specific goal, and then offering choices, because that's opening the door for involvement with your child. My next thought is then to do that process together. That means that you're not just telling the child, hey, you do this thing that I've presented to you, but remember we're building teamwork, which means we have to do things as a team. So you want to get in there, get involved with your child as well. That imitation is huge. Right? If the child sees you doing something, they're right on board, right? That's why we got kiddos with cute little plastic shopping carts. I remember I had one of those. It was the 80s, and so it was probably very ugly. But regardless, it was my shopping cart, and I loved it. So yes, imitation is huge. You want to get involved in the activity with your child. And they're going to learn by watching what you're doing, and they're going to feel like they contributed to the goal without being set up to fail because you told them to do something, so now they're doing it, but then they didn't quite do it right, and now you have to fuss at them about, well, this is how we're supposed to do it, right? Like, don't get into those weeds. So yes, you want to do that process together. That's it. We've accomplished our goal. You helped us accomplish that goal by being a part of the decision-making process. We did the process together, so you helped, I helped, we're part of a team, we've done it, and what do we do at the end? Let's celebrate, baby. Celebrate with kids. Come on. You want big reactions when you celebrate with your kids. You want to make it feel like it was an achievement. It wasn't just, this is something we have to do, because A, that's not very fun, B, that's not very engaging, and C, you want to associate accomplishing goals with something positive. And we're going to do that with praise. It can be verbal praise. It doesn't mean that you got to go, buy them some sort of gift every time that they have helped out with something. But if you do associate a positive ending with achieving a goal, I think that's going to really instill that feeling of reward with your child. If you have an opportunity to discuss with your child afterwards, I think that's also really good. Now, if we're talking the toddlers, probably not a big opportunity for a debrief, right? But if you've got a 5 or a 6-year-old, not only are we celebrating that we did a thing, let's celebrate how we did it, right? You want to point out the process, not just the end goal. It's not just, yay, we did the thing. It's, I really liked how you walked the dog on our right, and then I walked the dog on the left, and that way we got the leashes didn't intermingle here, right? Or I really liked that you volunteered to take a bath first, Lyra, so that Lila, I think was the name I was using. You got to take a bath first, Lila. Thanks for volunteering for that. That meant that we got to get to bath time faster, which means we got to get to game time faster. I think that also is going to build confidence with your child if you are commending them for the decision that they helped make, right? You posed a question for them. They said, well, I want to walk the dog separate because our dogs are crazy and they're running all over the place, and that's going to make it easier for us to walk one dog at a time. And then you go out and do that. Not only did we walked the dogs, but now you get to say, and I really liked your choice to walk the dogs separately because that felt like it made things a lot easier. So now they're feeling confident that they are making the right decisions. Man, they're really a part of the team at this point. So that's kind of my four thoughts on this. I would love for folks who are watching the live stream right now, go ahead and put something in the comments. Or if you're watching this after the fact, add something to the comments, continue the discussion here. If you're just tuning into the live stream, I have posed sort of a 4-step process for building teamwork with kiddos. One is to set a goal, then offer them a decision point, a choice in how to achieve that goal. Work with them on achieving that goal together so that they can imitate you and learn from you. And then finally, celebrate not only that you accomplished the goal, but that you, not only that you accomplished the goal, but also also the way that you accomplished that goal in, if that makes sense. It's not just that you did it, it's how you did it. Thank you so much for watching our stream tonight. I've got one last tool that is probably my favorite game out of the bunch that I want to show you. This is really, really good for teaching cooperation and teaching cooperation skills. This is a game from Game Right called Outfoxed. And Outfoxed has fantastic art, first and foremost, which means that it's got to be a good game, right? Yeah, that's how a board game works. In Outfoxed, you're going to try to discover who stole Mrs. Plumpert's prized pot pie. And you have a limited time because a fox done did it, and they are on their way out of town. So we've got this big, beautiful board in the middle of the table, and there's a little fox token that periodically is going to move forward a number of spaces along the path through town. Oh no, that fox is trying to get out of town, and that's going to give us only so much time. So we have to go around town, spending our turns either moving to new locations or picking up clues. This game has some very strong, classic Clue board game vibes, because the correct fox is slid into this into this sort of decoder sleeve. It's like a plastic sleeve. Kyle, you heard correctly that Mrs. Plumpert does indeed make the best pot pie. That's why it's a prized pot pie, okay? This is an award-winning pot pie, and someone has just gone off and absconded with it, and I'm upset. It's not fair to Mrs. Plumpert. It's not fair to the whole town. So like I was saying, the correct answer of the whodunit is inside of this plastic sleeve here. And there's a little sliding cover. You're going to go throughout the course of the game picking up these clues that are on these little like oval tiles. When you pick up a clue, you're going to put it into the scanner, right? There's this little white spot here. And then you're going to slide the cover out. And when you slide the cover out, it's going to reveal either a white space or a green dot relative to this clue. And that's going to tell you something about who done did it. So for example, if it is a top hat, and you've put the top hat clue on here, and you slide this out, and it's got a green dot there, that means that out of the suspects of, I think there's 8 different foxes in here, out of the suspects, the suspect, if there's a green dot here, was wearing a top hat. If you move the slider and there's a white spot by the clue, then that means that clue does not have anything to do with the suspect. You know in that case that the suspect does not have a top hat, and you can remove any suspects that do have top hats from the display. So you get a little Guess Who vibes as well. So not only are you moving around town trying to make decisions, hey, where do we want to go next? Where else can we get clues? But on top of that, you are able to deduce as a group based on the information that you get from the slider. And if your child's old enough and they're not, in the mood to break stuff, then I would totally let them operate the slider as long as you, say, okay, put the clue in first and then slide the thing out. And then slide the thing back and pull the clue out. And that way you're not going to accidentally reveal who the thief was. Peter has a question in chat. Is this a cooperative game or is there a winner? This is a cooperative game. So either we as a group figure out who stole Mrs. Plumpert's prized pot pie, or the culprit, represented by a little fox token, is going to run their way through town and make their way off the board. And once they've done that, we ran out of time. They made off with the goods. We didn't catch them in time, and so then everyone loses. This is a really soft way to teach sportsmanship, by the way. Any kind of cooperative game is, right? Because it's not, haha, I'm the winner and you're the loser. It's, oh, shucks, we didn't do it. We did not succeed in our cooperative challenge. And, that stinks, you know what? But next time we'll get it, right? And he put some little positive spin on there, and the child's like, you know what? It's not that I'm the loser. It's that we didn't accomplish it this time. And then that means the next time that you do play the game and you do win, that victory is that much sweeter. So it is definitely not a problem to lose in these cooperative games. Yeah, Kyle's bringing up in the chat that we're building resiliency in the kiddos, right? It's emotional intelligence, right? It feels bad when you lose, but it's okay if you lose. There's always next time. It's not the end of the world, and you don't have to be too upset about it. And look, I lost as well, and I am not upset about it. You're demonstrating through your actions, and they're going to look at you and say, you know what? If Mom and Dad and Gramps and Sissy didn't get upset, then I don't need to get upset either, right? They're learning, and you are showing them that process through imitation. We're talking about cooperative games, and that means that I have to bring up a small little history lesson. If you are not aware, cooperative games in the board game industry are, I don't want to say that they're like totally new, but there was a really big insurgence of these games starting in the late aughts, early 2010s. And that boils back down to another Game Right publication called Forbidden Island. Forbidden Island uses the same mechanics that are part of the popular Pandemic board game, and this is a game that's probably a little bit too complicated for our 3 and 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds. But once you start getting into elementary school, I think this game is going to be good enough. It says ages 10 and up on the box. When I bought my copy, they actually said 8 and up on the box. And that feels about right. I think you can be pretty safe with 8-year-olds. But you can go even younger. And you know why? Because if there's an adult present, This is cooperative, so the adults can help teach the younger kids kind of how to play. Make sure that the game doesn't get off the rails, that you're following the different, steps in the round. I mean, it's not a complicated game, but my point being that you can even play this with someone who's pretty young, because you've got an adult present. So let me bring up the spiel on Forbidden Island. You go to a Forbidden Island because you are an explorer. Excuse me. Blah, 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 blah. You're an explorer in Forbidden Island, and you're going to this island to try to recover these 4 relics. And you're going to do so by collecting sets of cards of the same color. At the end of each person's turn, you get to draw, I believe it is 2 cards, and then it goes on to the next person's turn. At the end of each person's turn, part of the island is going to sink, and it's slightly random on which parts of the island are going to sink, but typically it is the same spots on the island are continually going to be sinking. And once a part of the island has sunk all the way underwater, you can't get there anymore, which means it's going to be harder to move around the map, and that puts us on a hard timer. So you have to work together by trading cards back and forth with each other until one person has 4 of a kind, 4 cards that all match the same relic. Then you have to go to a specific spot on the island and turn in your set of cards to pick up this relic. Once, as a group, you have picked up all 4 relics, you got to beeline it back to the helicopter pad and take off. And if you do that, you win. And if you don't, you've ran out of time, the island sunk too far in, we got a little bit too greedy on our archaeological study, and we have lost. So this is sort of the granddaddy of modern cooperative games, and I have to bring it up because it actually is a very good all-ages game. I played this with some of my college buddies, but at the same time, you could play it if there's an adult present with someone who is as young as maybe 6 or 7 years old. So Forbidden Island's great, and a lot of the lessons that the game designers of the world learned about cooperative games is from their experience with Forbidden Island. So thank you so much for joining us for tonight's stream. I really appreciate those of you who were able to comment. If you're watching this in the future, go ahead and add your thoughts to this topic of instilling teamwork in your preschooler. I am not a parent myself, but I have worked with a lot of kids, and so I always love hearing what more experienced people are doing and what kind of lessons our kids can gain from these actions. So thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. Join us every Thursday night for our Fair Game Favorites live stream. My name is Graham, and until next week, have a wonderful weekend. And instill some teamwork. It's your homework.